Fever all night, so I'm not feeling the best of health today. So that's not helping either. So my commitment is not as it should be. But just trying to keep it clean and tidy and just getting it through the stages. We enjoyed stage 2, we enjoyed floor spa going up. That was really good.
The fifth stage of the day was a repeat of the opening section and the second run through the longest stage of the event. The sun had dried things out considerably and crews were expected to be faster than in the morning. Duncan started the stage with a comfortable 30-second lead. However, he had been forced to change a tyre before the start after one exploded outside the control, and then he punctured again in the stage. He was forced to stop, losing 3 minutes and with it the lead, dropping down to third. Rajbir Rai went fastest, 30 seconds clear of the competition, and took over the rally lead from Duncan. With a minute 25 cushion to Chagga, he could afford to ease off and, barring disaster, record his first career win. Chagga also moved ahead of Duncan and up into second. He was still battling with a fever and was just hoping to make it through the stages without any mistakes. Onkar Rai set the third fastest time as he fought his way back up the leaderboard after losing 8 minutes on the first pass. It was a great drive that saw him leapfrog back up to 7th overall. Jassi Chatty was 45 seconds faster than his morning run, but it was only good enough for 4th fastest. However, he trailed Duncan by just 13 seconds in the battle for 3rd place. Asa Anwar was 5th fastest. He went quicker than Barian and Horsey to move up into 5th overall, but trailed Chatty by over 3 minutes. Barian remained in 6th with the 7th fastest time, but had lost out to Anwar in the battle for 5th overall. Alistair Keith was 8th fastest after sorting out his overheating problem, moving him up into 10th overall. He was breathing down Channa's neck, closing the gap to just 17 seconds. Incredibly, Jonathan Soman set the 9th fastest time ahead of much more powerful four-wheel drives on the loose downhill surface, extending his lead in the classic class and moving up to 12th overall. Jasmeet Channa rounded out the top 10 of the stage, moving him into 9th overall, but he'd need to keep up the pressure if he wanted to stay ahead of Keith. Peter Horsey punctured on the stage and dropped from 5th to 8th overall. However, with 3 stages remaining, there was still plenty of time to stage a comeback. Mahesh Halai lost out to Keith and dropped out of the top 10 and down into 11th, just 44 seconds now ahead of Soman. Imran Moghul struck trouble, losing over 10 minutes and dropping from a credible 8th overall down the leaderboard to 18th. He would eventually retire on the repeat run of the floor spa. In the classics, Aslam Khan set the 2nd fastest time in the Porsche and moved ahead of Freestone after the escort driver punctured. Rob Hellier was 3rd fastest, but languishing down at the back of the field after his first stage disaster. Freestone lost over 5 minutes after a sluggish puncher change and dropped down to 3rd in the class. Dennis Mwenda was once again fastest in the F2 class to extend his overall lead to over 3 minutes ahead of Thethi. Gurmit Thethi was 2nd fastest, moving him ahead of Eric Bengi and opening up a 30-second gap. The 6th stage was another tight and technical stage, similar to the 2nd, with Duncan once again going fastest as he attempted to hunt down Chagga for 2nd place. He pulled back 50 seconds to close the gap to just 14. Rai was 2nd fastest to extend his lead to 1 minute 45 seconds. We pick up the action on the 7th stage now, the rerun of the floor spa escarpment. After adjusting their notes on the morning run, crews would be on max attack, the kudos of winning this spectacular stage almost as important as the event itself. Peter Horsey went fastest, however his time of 15:57 was actually 19 seconds slower than the time set by Chatty in the morning. the higher ambient temperatures meant the cars actually had less power than during the morning run. However, it was enough to see him climb back into 6th overall. Baldev Chagga put in a huge effort to go second fastest and stay ahead of Duncan. He held on to his overall position, increasing his advantage to 25 seconds with just the short spectator stage to run. Chatty couldn't match his earlier time, but still held the fastest overall time on the stage for the day. He remained in 4th. Duncan, meanwhile, was 4th fastest, unable to match the newer, more powerful Evo 10s on this stage. After leading the event for much of the day, he would have to settle for 3rd overall. Rajbir Rai kept to his own pace, setting the 5th fastest time, not wanting to take any risks and throw away his first win. Onkar Rai was 6th fastest. He had driven brilliantly to climb back up the leaderboard, and with a good time on stage 6 as well, he had overhauled Anwar to move into 5th. Anwar could not match the pace of the frontrunners in his old Evo 8 and slipped back to 7th. But having had the worst start to a season for many years, the veteran was happy to get home to the finish. Ronak Shah proved he had the pace to mix it with the big boys, setting the 8th fastest time. Another young driver in a new car. We can expect more from him as the season progresses. Jasmeet Channa went 9th fastest as he bid to retake his position back from Keith. However, he'd lost too much time to the Subaru driver on the previous stage, dropping back to 9th. Mahesh Halai moved back into 10th overall to register his best result in the N12 after Manveer Barian retired near the top of the hill. Barian had been on for a solid top 6 result when the car suddenly cut out and stopped with an electrical fault that the crew were unable to trace. Retirement so close to the end was frustrating after a great drive. Keith had blasted through the previous stage, damaging his tyres, and with virtually no tread left, he lost time on the climb. However, he had done well enough to move into an excellent 8th overall and was runaway leader in the S-Class. Eric Jogu lost out to Patel and slipped back to 3rd. However, he was pleased to finish on the podium. Ian Freestone was once again quickest of the classics up the floor spar, 32 seconds quicker than Soman. However, that puncher on the 5th stage meant he was still in 3rd overall. Soman might have been slower than Freestone, but he took victory in the Classic Cup. The Escort had not missed a beat, and he had beaten much more powerful modern cars to finish 13th overall. Aslam Khan would take the final podium position in the Classic class. The defending champion enjoying the chance to get back behind the wheel of his beautiful Porsche. Gurmit Sethi set the 2nd fastest time in the F2 class, but now led the category after Mwenda had once again struck trouble on the previous stage. It was a great victory after retiring from the lead on the Kiambu event. Dennis Mwenda's frustrating title defence continued when he punctured on stage 6. Then the rear shock broke on the climb up the floor spar. After once again dominating the competition for much of the event, he dropped back to 3rd. The last stage of the day was a rerun of the short 1.8 spectator stage. The route had dried up since the morning run, but was unlikely to have any significant effect on the leaderboard. The crowds were in a festive mood, enjoying the bright sunshine and party atmosphere as the crews made their run through the final stage. Rajbir Rai held his nerve to record the first win of his career in only his 2nd season in the Evo 10. It was the first win for a new driver in over a decade, with the championship having been dominated by the likes of Tundo, Chagga, Kavanagh and Duncan, and following in the footsteps of his father, former Kenya champion Sabi Rai.
Yeah, no, it feels pretty good. Of course, it's my first win. After Kiambu, we had good pace, so we wanted to keep it up. So it was good. It was a challenging day, challenging route. Just try to keep it clean, have a good rhythm, and yeah, it turned out well in the end.
Chagga was still battling a high fever, but got through to take 2nd overall. With Tundo retiring, he moves back into the championship lead with a 40-point cushion.
I'm just happy it's over, to be quite honest. Just looking forward to getting to the next bed and just jumping into it. I'm feeling so feverish still. But all in all, it's been a good day. Concentration levels were really low today. I couldn't really commit so much. But happy to be back in second, without a doubt. And with that, I think we still get, we lead the championship again, I think, by 40 points.
Duncan will be disappointed not to win after holding a comfortable lead in the morning. However, another podium result kept him in the title hunt. Chatty once again finished a distant fourth, over 3 minutes behind Duncan. But fastest on the first run up the floor spar proves he has the pace to compete for his first win, but may need to find some consistency if he wants to emulate Rai. Onka Rai recovered to finish 5th overall, but without losing 8 minutes on the first stage, he'd have likely finished on the podium. A great drive for the Nakuru local. With Barian's retirement, the remaining crews moved up a place, with Anwar, Horsey, Keith, Channa and Halai completing the top 10. Alistair Keith took another dominant class win to extend his championship lead. He moved into 7th with Barian's retirement to record a fantastic finish in the Old Impreza. Soman held on to win the classic category, finishing 13th overall after setting some impressive times in the escort. Gurmit Thethi took the F2 win. He had started cautiously, not wanting to damage the engine, but gradually increased his pace. The victory moves him back into contention in the overall title race. The finish and prize-giving ceremony was held at the Kamwasor Service Park. The Rift Valley Motorsports Club had once again hosted a fantastic event on some of Kenya's most spectacular rally stages. As the championship reaches its midpoint with 4 rounds remaining, all 4 classes remain wide open, as we take a look at the tables. Chaga moves back into the lead, with Rai moving into 2nd just ahead of Tundo, who now slips back into 3rd. However, the margins are still close and the title remains wide open. Keith dominates the S-Class after back-to-back victories, opening up a large lead in the title chase. The F2 category remains hotly contested. However, defending champion Dennis Mwenda needs a change of fortune if he has any hope of bringing the title home. The next round on June the 28th takes the crews to Nanyuki in the shadow of Mount Kenya. Having not run last year, the event makes a welcome return to the calendar as the battle resumes for round 5. We'll see you there.